Hi everyone, Aldbar here. This is my character Warjack, who is using the MachineBow build, and in this video I'll be showing how you can use this build on your own character. This is a powerful, versatile, and flexible build, which is centered around quick bursts of ranged damage from any type of crossbow. This build is viable for both beginner and advanced level characters, so stay tuned. With that being said, let's jump right into it. Also, I'd appreciate it if you could please spare for me the 2 seconds it takes to hit like and subscribe. Thank you. With that out of the way, I hope you have a blast and truly enjoy this video. Overview. This build is a split of 6 rogue, 4 artificer, and 6 fighter, with the last 4 levels in whichever you prefer. In my case, I took artificer. The goal is to take as many crossbow enhancements as possible, from the rogue mechanic, artificer battle engineer, and fighter kensei. Your main stat is intelligence, and you will be using it as your attack modifier and adding it to the damage of your crossbow. The main source of burst damage is from the artificer enhancement Endless Fusillade. Once you get improved precise shot, you will be able to hit all of the enemies in your line of fire with a single shot. I made a whole other video where I go into all the fine details of playing this build, but the general summary is this. 1. Round up a group of enemies. 2. Get them to line up by walking backwards and making them all file into a line. 3. Hit Endless Fusillade and blast through all of the enemies at once. Build details. I'll be showing now all of my skills, stats, feats, etc. so you can see how this build looks on an intermediate level character. Stats. Here I'll be showing off my stat sheet. As you can see, my intelligence is my main stat, followed by my constitution. As I mentioned before, this is an intermediate level character, and you can definitely bring these values up with better gear or equipment. Skill points. This can be divided up into 3 categories: beginner, intermediate, and advanced. For beginner players, I recommend play it safe. Always make sure you fill out your spot, search, open lock, disable device. After that, you fill out use magical device, jump, and then you can add whatever you like haggle, or perhaps intimidate, balance, etc. For intermediate players, since you'll be taking classes who are proficient in different things, you can save your points and level up in the class that you are proficient in, and save skill points. This means do not put any points into jump, intimidate, or swim, since you can do that for your fighter levels. So focus on rogue and artificer skills and leave those for fighter. Just make sure that levels 19 and 20 you fill up all of your rogue skills. For advanced players, I can say, if you know where all of the trap boxes are in the game, you can completely skip on spot and other things like this. This will allow you to customize your character and put the skill points in basically whatever you want. As for me, my use magical device is standing on 56, disable device on 101. I haven't blown up any box ever. Even when I roll a 1, I get critical success. Most of these skills do not have items to boost them. I only put on the item when I need it. Feats. In my epic feats, I've got Holy Strike, which gives me Ghost Touch and some extra damage. My legendary feat gives me plus 20 ranged power. One of my epic feats is Elusive Target, which gives me a 5% chance to avoid damage. Alternatively, you could take Dream Space, will give you a chance at an additional buff of 20 ranged power. I also took an epic feat, which gives me plus 10 double shot. Binding Speed, this is basically mandatory. Combat Archery has a very high requirement of 21 dex. This might be harder if you are a newer player and do not have tomes. Overwhelming Critical gives me plus 1 to my critical multiplier on my 19 and 20 rolls. As you can see, my epic past lives only have 1 in the Divine and 3 in Primal. Most advanced players will have the option to take double shot from the Primal Sphere. Heroic past lives, I have 2 Barbarian, 3 Fighter, and 1 Rogue. I have plus 6 tomes for all except for Wisdom and Charisma, where I have only plus 4. I have 3 additional Fate points, plus 1 to Magical, plus 1 to Physical, and plus 1 to Ranged Power. I took Dodge, Insightful Reflexes, and Mobility. Dodge and Mobility will later give me the option to take Shot on the run. I have Evasion because I have 2 levels of Rogue. In my fighter feats, I took Weapon Specialization Ranged, which gives me plus 2 to the damage and plus 2 range power. I have improved Critical Range, who doubles the normal critical range of your ranged weapons. Power Critical adds plus 2 to confirm and plus 2 damage on critical hits. Precision is a stance that adds 5% to your hit, and it reduces the fortification of targets by 25%. I also took Weapon Focus Ranged Weapons, who adds plus 1 to my attack and 2 ranged power. In my meta magic, I took Empower Healing to improve my ability of Renew and Rejuvenation Cocoon. While I'm in the epic destiny of Undying Sentinel, I have additional abilities of Lay on Hands. I am proficient with all armor and all normal base weapons due to my levels in Fighter. As my racial feats, I took Protector for the ability to add 10% to my HP while I was leveling. Also, I have Healing Hands. This is my big healing source. In range feats, I have improved precise shot for shooting through and all targets in the middle. Point blank shot that adds +1 weapon die at close range. Precise shot, who allows me to shoot through targets and gives me a stance, which stacks up ranged power to a max of 45. Rapid reload quickens my reload of my crossbow. Rapid shot quickens the reload of my crossbow and the speed of the projectiles. Run on the shot adds range power and eliminates the penalty for running while shooting. Uncanny dodge is granted to me as a rogue. Enhancements. For my enhancements, the goal is to fill up all of the crossbow boosts from rogue, artificer, and from kensei in fighter. Tier 5 mechanic of rogue gives you +3 attack, +3 damage, and additional +3 damage for non-repeaters. That means +6 for Great Crossbows. Also, Great Crossbows now hit Vorpal on 1920. So anything that does Vorpal does it now on 1920. That's 10% versus only 5%. And it gives me +2 sneak attack dice. Also, it gives me 30 ranged alacrity. If I would have any extra points to spare, I definitely take double shot. This is very important to take. It allows you to use your intelligence modifier and add it to your damage of your crossbow. This makes your damage much more powerful. This I take for the additional ranged power. In Artificer, this adds +1 to your weapon, and this +1 to your armor. I take the additional boosts since I live off the DPS burst. The point of this tree is to get the Artificer burst DPS. This is similar to Inquisitor, but Inquisitor is a tier 5 ability who will not work with the tier 5 abilities of the mechanic. In kensei, I tried to get to the 3rd spot. This will add +1 to my critical damage multiplier, which is very important. The 4th tier of fighter, do not take. It's a trap. You need to have fighter level 8, and you will have to have greater weapon focus. Greater weapon focus is a throwaway feat you do not need. Basically, it adds to attack. To take another feat just so you can take this, and it will require you to spend 20 points in this tree. It's a total waste. If you would have additional Harper points, I would spend it here to get +1 to my weapon enhancement. For Asthma, I took all of the healing. If I would have any racial points to spend, I definitely would build more into this tree, or save some of these and put them into mechanic. My two main epic destinies are Undying Sentinel and Fury of the Wild. Sharadi Champion is an option, but it doesn't work for me that good with this build. In Undying Sentinel, I take 50% additional shield bonus that works off shield spell and the shield that comes together with the White Dragon Scale armor. Also, this adds additional physical resistance. I take the ability for Lay on Hands and an extra charge. Additional 1d6 good damage, some constitution, 20% insight to my hit points, and additional 15% to my AC. My stance is Vigor of Battle, which gives me the biggest benefit. Finally, Renewal will work on me when I'm in this stance. and it works together with Empower Heal. Fury of the Wild is my second, more DPS oriented destiny. I take fast healing, acute instincts, and sense weakness for the 30% extra damage. Also, I take the maximum amount of constitution, +1 critical multiplier on 19 and 20, Fury Eternal, that works very good with this build because every time you boost DPS, there's a very good chance you'll recharge your adrenaline overload. And of course, the big buff of 30 seconds of adrenaline overload for my twists of faith. This is from Sharadi, this from Swashbuckler, this from Fatesinger, and this from Primal Avatar. This is my current configuration for Sharadi. Hunter's End is basically the same as Adrenaline Overload. It just recharges automatically every 24 seconds, and it's endless. Its downside is its long cooldown of 24 seconds. In this particular build, Fury of the Wild gives you the ability to continuously recharge your Adrenaline Overload because of Fury Eternal. And because you make so many individual hits, it recharges very, very fast. For Reaper enhancements, all I have is 13 points, and I put them all into Grim Barricade. It's nothing special. As I said before, this is an intermediate character level. Spells. Here I am by the scroll vendor and component vendor in House Cannith. Here I'm showing off the spells that I'm currently using. Flame Arrow is very inconvenient, and so is Elemental Damage. Conjure Bolts is very important to make sure that you pick it up when you level and not inscribe it. It might not work properly. The two most important spells that you'll get are Insightful Strikes and Insightful Damage. This allows you to add your intelligence to attack and damage with all weapons, meaning that if you want to pick up some weapon at any opportunity, you can. Gear and equipment. I will be showing a selection of gear that complements this build. All of the gear is highly valuable relative to the amount of effort needed to acquire it. If you want to see some endgame gear, you should go check out Voodoo's YouTube channel. Let's start off with the first and the most important piece of equipment, which is the Great Crossbow. First off, we have the Spectral Great Crossbow. It has Ghost Bane, that means it will hit all the Reapers. It has Evil Outsider Bane, meaning it's very good against Reapers. And it has Vorpal. Basically, you should definitely pick this up, at least for the low levels. Next up, we have Divine Artillery. This again is a very, very recommended Great Crossbow. It has Vorpal on it. It has Red Slot. It has Flame Touch Iron, meaning it passes all DR of good. You should definitely use it. It's very powerful. It's bound to account, meaning it's very convenient. You can pass it on also. Next, I have my green steel. This is a triple positive green steel. I always recommend that if you're going to make one item who's going to be a weapon, just make triple positive. You can't go wrong with it, and you'll have a Raise Dead Clicky. They'll be available. It's also very good against undead, so highly recommended. This next one, Silver Slinger, comes from the free chain of Lord of Dust. It has blunted ammunition on it. It is a repeating heavy crossbow, but for this build it's not a problem. You can use it freely. It's very good if you're having problems with damage reduction on skeletons. This Cormyrean Great Crossbow is pseudo-random generated, but it accepts sentience. It's considered a named item. So if you are bent on putting filigrees into an item, this is your only option. It's level 20, And there's level 24. Level 24 I have over here is much better, and it's all about your luck. You can just farm a whole bunch, throw out all the low level ones, you can eat them into your gem and gain XP for it, so it's no waste. And just keep the best 3 and keep on doing the same thing, farming challenges and Evening Star until you've got enough, until you get one that you really like. Next up we have Thunder Forged. These start at level 22, 24, 26, 28. The levels 22 and 24 are unbound. You can even buy the ingredients off the auction house and get a friend to go buy it, even if you don't have the adventure pack. This is definitely recommended if you're looking for something pretty strong and you don't have access to anything. Next up I've got my green steel. As you can see, I've only got tier 1 and tier 2 on it, but it's still very powerful. The base of the item is plus 14, making it very powerful base damage. The last one I've got over here is the one from Barovia. This is the freebie. With a plus 15 to base damage, makes it one of the highest Great Crossbows in the game. Last but not least, if you're wondering what my cosmetic is, it's actually from a heavy crossbow named Storm. This comes from the Demon Queen raid. I don't use the heavy crossbow, but I use the cosmetic that in my opinion is one of the nicest ones in the game. Okay, now rune arms. First one I've got is Stronati's Hand Cannon. This is probably the best one per level. You can wear it from level 5. I usually wear it all the way up to level 17, 18, 19. It's great. First of all, its base damage is 2 to 8 fire damage, and it does also bludgeoning damage. So basically, if it doesn't hit for fire, it's definitely hitting for the bludgeoning damage. It's great. It's very, very good at breaking breakables. It's directional. The projectile is very fast, and it's very, very convenient to use. Okay, next. This is Tovin's hammer. This is a crafted version of the fully upgraded one. I added some devotion, insightful devotion, just to help me with my healing. Also, I added ranged alacrity to help me with this projectile speed before I get permitted haste. What's very special about this is A, it adds lightning strike to all your weapons. B, it also gives you basically the same exact effect that the torque has. That means you never run out of spell points when you're using this, because every time you take damage, you're having a chance to add yourself some spell points back. It's very, very good. I recommend it. It's a bit of a farm, but it's worth it. This one, the glass cannon, is a no-brainer. Everyone should pick it up if you're an artificer. It comes from the pirate Crystal Cove event. It's very easy to get. It's very powerful, and again, this projectile does fire and bludgeoning damage. It's directional. The projectile goes very fast. It breaks all the breakables, making it very good for speedy runs. If you want to get all the extra additional XP, you don't have to run and hit every box. This is great. I recommend it, and you'll be hitting basically everything. Even when things are immune to fire, they'll probably take bludgeoning damage. The last one is Corruption of Nature. I don't think this one is a very good rune arm, but it does have Rough Hide 6, who's very good for your AC, and if you combine it together with something like this, who adds Insightful, you can have all of a sudden your AC jump up by a significant amount. So it's something to keep in mind if you're planning on perhaps pseudo tanking or something just for a little bit and you need an extra bit of AC. It might be worth it. My cloak isn't anything special, it just has wisdom, natural armor. I've got a slot for heavy fortification. It's nothing special, it just fills up my set, so you can do much better than this. Next is my hat. This is my main intelligence item. It's got 13 plus 6 insightful. Again, you can do much better. This is a intermediate level character, and you definitely can do much better than this. And I'd like to point out two special things for leveling up. First is this one. If you remember, there used to be an item called Minius Legend, who gave you 20 toughness. It was 20 extra hit points, which stacked with everything. Then they turned it into Vitality, and he called it a Diamond Vitality. Basically, it gave you heavy fortification and 20 hit points. This hat, called Helm of Free Will, comes from the Titan pre-raid. It's available from the auction house. It's not bound until you equipped it, and you can put in it heavy fortification and vitality and spell resistance and immunity to fear, making this much better, and I highly recommend it as a leveling piece of gear. Next, this hat I recommend for everyone to make. It's very easy. You get this from the Crystal Cove event. I put 15 haggle and I added charisma on it to make sure that even if I'm on a toon who does not use charisma as its main stat, I always have the max charisma, or at least 6, when I do my haggle. So from level 12 I get a nice amount of haggle. Highly recommended. Next we've got goggles. My goggles is the item where I put my disable device in open lock. I added insightful disable device so I can max out the stat. Notable one is the level 13 Tanner's goggles. It comes from the Vision of Destruction raid. These are still viable today. Next, my belt. In my case, this is my HP item. I've got Con 13 plus 6 insightful and 50 life. While leveling up, I usually use the belts. This is the level 7 Spare Hand. This is bound to account, level 7, and it has 10 disable device and open lock. This is great. I also have the old item, level 13, which was level 15 with the ability to craft it, meaning you could add to it Masterful Craftsmanship, which would reduce its level by 2 levels, bringing it down to 13. This is no longer available in this state, but it's a very nice item to show off anyways. Next up, the quiver. The one I'm using mainly now comes from Grim and Barrett. This gives me range power and double shot, and it's got plenty of space in it. For leveling up, I use Quiver of Alacrity, but I know this might be a little bit hard to get. Rings. For a very low level, I use this. It has a clear slot with the Master's Gift, so I get the 5% XP bonus, and I put Feather Falling on it. After that, I have the different levels of Ring of Buccaneer. I have slotted Feather Falling to go together with the underwater action, and the Dexterity, Good Luck, and Protection just go up with all the rings. So I've got intermediate levels and high levels also. The other ring I use is the Ring of the Stalker. This gives me something called Manslayer, who basically is a Vorpal effect on all your weapons, so you can use your favorite weapon and get Vorpal on it. At level 20 you get Ghostly, that gives you a 10% chance to be missed, and it makes all of your weapons, including your ranged weapons, to become Ghost Touch. The Seeker effect also makes it very valuable when scoring critical hits. Next I'm going to talk about armor. My main armor is the light, epic, white dragon scale armor. This also has the effect of shield built into it. While in the stance of Undying Sentinel, I get an additional 50% to my shield bonus, making this +6 into a +9. Just something good to notice. For low levels, the Snakeskin Vest is level 8 with +10 search and spot. Also the armor bonus on it is not too bad. It is a very good item and it's easy to get. I have this cloak, which gives me a 14-minute clicky of Night Shield, who protects me from magic missile. This one comes from the Abbot raid, but you can get one for levels 4, 8, 12 and etc. from the Maybar event. The prosthetic breastplate, in my opinion, is one of the most underrated pieces of armor in DDO. Its base armor is almost as good as the White Dragon scale, because it's actually a breastplate who's supposed to be medium armor, but it's a prosthetic making it light armor, kind of like old Mithril, and it has rough hide on it. My upgraded version adds Uncanny Awareness, who gives me plus 10 to my reflex save at level 14. The Epic Utility Vest has 20 Disable Device and 20 Open Lock at level 20, which is the best you can get. So even if you don't wear this as an armor, you can put it on when you want to disable devices. Next up is my trinket. The one I use is the old Epic Treasure Hunter's Spyglass. I believe it's been changed since, but the good news is there's much better stuff in the game right now. Next up is braces. I use green steel to give me permanent blur, and they have elemental energy, 10, 15, and 20, for a total of 45 extra HP. This I use into endgame. This was based off Axel's recommendation. You should go check out his channel, Axel DDO. Next up is my necklace. I could really put anything here. All I did is put something with some physical sheltering and spell save. My gloves, these come from 3 Barrel Cove. They just give me vitality and healing application. Boots, these come from 3 Barrel Cove. They're from a rare encounter, any one of them. They're easy to collect, and their color slot is perfect for the globe of true Imperial blood, which will give you +1 exceptional to all stats. For low levels, I use the boots from House Kondrak to give freedom of movement, but there's better stuff now that comes from Keep on the Borderlands. Also, I have these Cannith boots of propulsion if I need to jump across something. Leveling. The only rigid aspect of this build is the leveling process. There are many auto-granted feats and some class-specific feats. If you are not careful, you may accidentally take a feat that is auto-granted later, or find yourself with a class-specific list of feats that you don't need. Some leveling choices might seem odd, but be sure to check it first with a build planner before you change anything. I tested my build on Lemania before I made it on the live server. This is a good idea for anyone who wants to try out a new build concept. Shout out to StrimTom on YouTube for the idea. I made another video where I discuss the many different variants of this build. The one in this video is 8 Artificer, 6 Rogue, and 6 Fighter. I will now show the leveling process. Here I'm doing a Epic TR, who basically gives me the ability similar to a lesser reincarnation, so I can rebuild from starting from level 1 and show the whole process. So basically I'm going to start with Rogue, because I want to get the maximum amount of skill points, and Rogue is the one who has the most amount of skill points for it. It's very important that your dexterity reaches at least 19 if you want to improve precise shot. Combat archery is 21, and if you're a beginner level character, it might be a little hard. So the more tomes you have, the better. It's better if you spend maximum 2 points, 2 skill points, rather than spending 3. If you spend 3, it's probably better if you just take it when you go through the leveling. That means instead of taking +1 intelligence at level 4 or level 8, you just take +1 dexterity. You'll save a lot. But other than that, try to max out your intelligence, then your constitution, and make sure you've got enough in your in your dexterity so you can take improved precise shot. It's very important. For the bonds, you can take whatever you want. I took protector because it will add me some extra HP while I was leveling up. I wanted to have the ability to tank a little bit because I didn't have that great of a character. So you can do whatever you want if it's better for you. Here I'm just showing quick how I build my character, and basically all my characters look pretty much the same. Anyway, so you can see what I picked. There you go. Basically, it looks human, if not for the rune or whatever you want to call it on his face. Here I'm starting off with all the skills that I need, prioritizing the ones that I want the most, and then adding all my extra skill points to other things. So I max out my spot search, open lock disable device, my use magical device, and some other things like my jump. And then I'm just adding little things. I'm going to take social skills, so like bluff and diplomacy and stuff like that. That's what I'm going for in this particular one. You can pick from one of the 3 sets. That means either social skills like bluff, diplomacy, intimidate, etc., or you can go for your sneaking skills, sneak, move silently and hide, or you can go for just other kind of like haggle and more like spellcraft. I don't know, different kind of other groups. But I'll definitely put preference on making sure you get your rogue skills up. Point blank shot. It's one of those feats is not auto granted, and it's important to take because it's a prerequisite for other things. In my case, I'm just going to take intelligence all the way up. This time as a fighter, so I'm going to skip on the rogue skills and fill up jump because it's class granted. And then next time I get rogue or artificer, I'll catch up. That way I don't have to spend half points. Only full points for the best efficiency. Here's my second level of rogue. I get evasion. More artificer. Precise shot is very important, and it also gives you a stance that allows range power to build up while you're standing still, and it allows missiles to go through enemies and only hit your target. It's very good if you're trying to hit a single target and not hit the target in the middle. Rapid shot speeds up the speed of your missile. Firing range, the firing speed also. Dodge in this case is a prerequisite because I want to get shot on the run. We need that in mobility. Uncanny dodge is actually very good for you because it allows you to use the mists set of filigrees. Every time you hit it, will add 50 range power if you got 5 filigrees in the set. Here again I'm taking intelligence, putting a little bit into my sneak skills. Improved critical is very good, doubles your base critical range. Putting in some of my fighter skills. swim in this case. Here's mobility. It's the second prerequisite to run on the shot on the run. Again, intelligence. By the way, this keeps on adding more and more skill points as I level. This way I'm getting the best out of my fighter skills. Here's shot on the run. Actually adds some range power also. Weapon specialization is very important, it's very good, and it helps you out with your damage. Here I made a mistake. I should have probably invested a little bit more in my rogue skills. I didn't realize I was nearing 20. I filled it up. I realized a little late that I'm lacking a few, but big deal. Improved precise shot is the one feat that you really need that'll allow you to take care of a lot of trash all at once. Here I'm into epic levels. Again, I take my intelligence at 24. And power healing I take because it works both on renew and on regenerative cocoon. It improves your healing a lot. Holy Strike gives me basically ghost touch on my attacks and some extra damage. Blinding speed I think is mandatory. Unless you can cast somehow, haste on yourself all the time. Double shot helps out a lot. You can take Dream Space because if you click it, there is a chance that you'll get additional 20 range power by take elusive target. Basically 5% AC, or 5% not taking damage. That's I think pretty good. I took overwhelming critical, and I took all the extra range and range power. I think that's the best, at least for this build. Here I've got a few notes about the mechanics of precise shot, improved precise shot, and precision. First off, if you just shoot a target, you aim at it, you fire, will hit the target. This is your default stance for any ranged weapon. Now if you got improved precise shot or precise shot, when you shoot, you can hit the target at the end. The difference is that improved precise shot will hit both the target at the end and the target in the middle. You can do this by selecting the target in the back, making sure that when you fire, it'll go through both targets and hit the target in the back and the one in the middle also. This isn't necessary though, you don't have to actually select it. As long as you're aiming in the right direction, it'll hit it. It's very important to notice, if you have this tendency to aim down and not aim at the target at the end, it won't hit the target at the end. this case, all I'm doing is making sure that I'm focused on the target in the back, and I'll hit it. As you can see here, since I'm aiming down, even though I'm in line, it won't hit the target. As soon as there's no target in front, then it'll only hit the target in the back. Something that I had to get used to, making sure that I was aiming in the right direction. Now for precise shot, when you fire the target in the back, it only hits the target in the back and it goes through the target in between. This means if you have a target you want to hit and not hit other targets, this is very useful. Now it gives you a stance that if you select it, you activate it, can't be active with improved precise shot, it will build up stacks of ranged power. That means the more you stand in the same spot, the more ranged power you'll have, and the more damage you'll give over time. I'm going to show here, I'm going to build up some stacks of ranged power. And you'll see that little by little my damage goes up. Here you can see my range power went from 130 to like 140. And it keeps on going up more, until a max of 15 stacks. When I'm fully stacked up, if I use Adrenaline Overload, it's 400% to the damage. Yeah, and things like this can happen. 23,000 damage. The last thing is precision. Precision is a stance, kind of like power attack. You can't have both active at the same time. What it does is it takes down the fortification of your target. So, in spite these being constructs who should have 100% fortification and not take any critical damage, having precision active little by little takes down their fortification so I can hit critical strikes. This is very important for bosses and stuff like that. Don't take critical strikes. Conclusion. In my opinion, this is a fun, flexible, and powerful build that can be tailored to suit any character level without any strict requirements for beginner level characters and without losing steam with advanced level characters. I displayed two different variants of the Epic Destiny layout, one as a tank and one as DPS. Well, that's about it for this video. As I mentioned before, I made a video that shows the fine details of playing this build, and I made a video that discusses the variants of the MachineBow build, and I made a video where I show a side-by-side comparison of the tank and DPS Epic Destiny layouts. I recommend you subscribe so you don't miss any of those videos. And as always, I hope you enjoyed it. Please like and subscribe. Thank you and take care.